You got a baby with some chick, and
What?
I'm thinking it's a joke. So I'm looking like, okay, really? I got a baby with a chick, cool. But then the broad come walking out the back,
Well, who is the broad?
some drunk broad stumbling at the bar and like,
What's her name?
Jazz.
Rasheeda sat on the edge of the couch, her heart pounding as the reality of the situation hit her. She had always trusted Kirk, but seeing him down on one knee in front of Jasmine was a blow she never expected. It felt surreal, as if it were a scene from a twisted soap opera. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in around her as memories of their struggles, triumphs, and shared dreams flashed before her. "Can you believe this?" she murmured, her voice barely a tremble. Anger and heartbreak churned within her, threatening to unravel her composure. After everything we've been through, he chooses her. Her friends, sensing the emotional storm brewing inside her, gathered around in an attempt to console her, offering words of comfort. But the betrayal cut deep. Rasheeda had stood by Kirk through thick and thin, enduring their highs and lows. And now this, the thought of him proposing to someone else felt like a betrayal of everything they had built together. "I thought we were building a life together," she said, her voice shaking with disbelief and anger. How could he throw it all away for someone else? The pain was raw, a wound that refused to heal. One of her friends, Mia, leaned in closer. "Rasheeda, you deserve so much more than this. You've always been the rock in this relationship. Don't let him strip you of your power." Rasheeda wiped her tears, feeling a flicker of anger rise within her. "You're right," she said, her voice hardening. "I won't let him determine my worth. I'm done being the understanding wife. This is my wake-up call." Her words were laced with bitterness, but alongside it, a growing strength began to emerge. Her friends continued to rally around her, reminding her of all the times she had fought for their family, all the moments she had chosen love over resentment. "You've been there through the highs and the lows," Mia said softly. "You've put in the effort, and now he's just tossing it aside as if it meant nothing." As Rasheeda absorbed her friend's words, the weight of betrayal started to shift. "I've given him my all," she said, her voice growing steadier. "I stood by him when he needed me, supported him through every business venture, every scandal, and this is how he repays me." The room buzzed with a mix of empathy and empowerment. Standing up, Rasheeda wiped her face with the back of her hand, a look of determination lighting up her features. "I'll show him what he's missing. If he thinks he can just walk away, he's got another thing coming. I'm not going to sit here and let him play the victim while he's out there living his best life with someone else." She began pacing the room, her mind racing. "It's time for me to take control of my life. If he wants a fairy tale with Jasmine, let him have it. But I'm rewriting my story." The conviction in her voice made her friends nod in agreement, their support like a shield against the pain. "I won't let this define me," she continued, a fire igniting inside her. "I'm going to come out of this stronger than ever. I deserve happiness too. I've spent so much time trying to make him happy, trying to fix what's broken. But what about me?" Her friends stood by her side, brainstorming ways to help her reclaim her identity. "Focus on your passions," Mia suggested. "Dive into your music, your business. You've got so much talent, and it's time to let it shine." Rasheeda smiled through her tears, a newfound sense of clarity washing over her. "You're right. I've invested so much energy into him, but I have dreams of my own. It's time I invest in myself." With every word, she felt lighter. The betrayal still stung, but it was no longer the defining moment of her life. "I refuse to be a footnote in Kirk's drama," she declared, her voice unwavering. "He thinks he can break me, but I'm going to come back stronger, bolder, and completely unrecognizable."
You have a baby by this girl.
Do I have a baby? Do I look like I got a baby by her?
Do you know her? Have you seen her before?
You don't know me?
I might have seen you in Atlanta.
Kirk, you don't know me.
Do I?
As they talked late into the night, planning her next move, Rasheeda felt a shift. The tension that had once filled the air was now replaced with a sense of possibility. "I'm ready to reclaim my story," she declared, her voice firm with conviction. "This isn't the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter." Her friends cheered her on, and at that moment, Rasheeda realized she wouldn't just survive this heartbreak, but she would thrive because of it. With a renewed sense of purpose, she began to envision a future filled with her own dreams and aspirations, one where she was the star of her own narrative. After years of drama, betrayals, and a seemingly endless cycle of hope and disappointment, Rasheeda had finally reached her breaking point. Standing in her living room, arms crossed and heart pounding, she was ready to take a stand. The air in the room felt thick with tension, and unresolved emotions crackled between them. Kirk Frost, the man who had been by her side through it all, now stood before her, looking more like a stranger than ever before. "Enough is enough, Kirk. I'm done with the lies and the games," Rasheeda said, her voice steady but filled with an intensity that could set the room ablaze. The moment hung heavy, like a storm about to break. Kirk, taken aback by the force of her words, shifted uncomfortably, struggling to maintain his composure. "Babe, let's talk about this," he pleaded, his voice shaky. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that used to soften her heart, but this time, Rasheeda remained unmoved. Her resolve was firm, her patience long worn thin from trying to fix what was broken for years. "Do you think you can just waltz back in here after everything? After all the times you've disrespected me?" She fired back, her eyes narrowing, each word dripped with venom, every syllable echoing the betrayal that had grown between them. Kirk tried to appeal to her emotions, bringing up their history together, their years of shared memories. "We have a family, Rasheeda. You can't just throw that away," he said, but she was done falling for emotional manipulation. This time, she wasn't backing down. "A family? Do you think a family can survive on deceit?" She shot back, her voice rising. "I've been more than patient. I've given you chance after chance. And what have you done? You've taken my trust and stomped all over it." The fire in her eyes was undeniable, and for the first time, Kirk looked small and vulnerable. Desperation crept into his voice. "I can change, Rasheeda. Just give me one more chance." But she was no longer the woman who would easily forgive and forget. Rasheeda had fought too hard for her self-worth, and she wasn't about to let him destroy it again.
He said he met her at a strip club. Fast forward to, they had sex. Fast forward to, now she's pregnant. Fast forward to, he moved her in your old building. She lives downstairs from y'all. She's met Carter. She's hung out with Kirk's family. And I didn't believe anything she's telling me at this point, right? I was like, show me something. So she shows me text messages from Kirk. I said, let me see the number. She was like, no, he uses a whole nother phone. He got 2 phones.
Really?
She showed me a video. And the video was her in her apartment and Kirk is holding the baby. And she was like, say hi to daddy.
"You've promised that before. I've clung to empty promises for far too long," Rasheeda responded, her heart racing as the weight of their turbulent relationship became a burden she was no longer willing to carry. She felt liberated, empowered, and ready to take control of her life. Kirk's frustration bubbled over. "You'll regret this. You're making a huge mistake." He shot back, his voice growing louder with anger, but Rasheeda just smirked, the corners of her lips curling in defiance. "Regret? I doubt it. I'm finally free," she said, feeling a rush of adrenaline with every word. With each moment, she felt lighter, shedding the toxic energy he had brought into her life. She took a step toward the door, her heart pounding like a warrior preparing to face the world. "Fine, you want to kick me out? I'll show you what you'll be missing," he spat, gathering his belongings in a huff. Watching him scramble only solidified her resolve. As she observed, Rasheeda knew the man in front of her wasn't the partner she once loved, but merely a shadow of the person she had hoped he would become. As he hurriedly stuffed clothes into a duffel bag, the reality of their situation finally sank in. The love they once shared felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the betrayals and lies that had become their daily routine. Rasheeda could feel the weight of the years lifting off her shoulders, making space for hope and new beginnings. "Go ahead and leave, Kirk. I deserve better than this," she said, her voice steady as she gestured toward the door. "I'm reclaiming my space, my life, and I'm not looking back." With one final slam of the door, Kirk was gone, and Rasheeda stood in the silence that followed, her heart still racing. But this time, it was from excitement, not fear. She took a deep breath, a newfound sense of empowerment coursing through her veins. The echoes of their chaotic relationship were fading, leaving her with the exhilarating promise of freedom and self-discovery. Meanwhile, outside, Kirk paced, feeling
It's Kirk's baby.
Kirk who? Kirk who?
Kirk.
the weight of his decisions pressed heavily on him. He hadn't just lost a place to live. He had lost the woman who had once stood by his side through every challenge. The stakes were different now, and he understood there was no easy way back. Rasheeda was a force to be reckoned with, and he was about to learn that in the most painful way possible. The stage was set for an explosive showdown, and everyone was watching closely. Would Kirk rise to the occasion or spiral further into chaos? The drama between Kirk Frost and Rasheeda is heating up fast. Right now, Rasheeda is done and ready to move on. She's filing for child support from Kirk after years of lies and cheating. According to Rasheeda, Kirk is not just any cheater, he's a serial one, a master of deception. It's gotten to the point where she doesn't even want their kids around him. This isn't some love and hip-hop storyline anymore. She's making it crystal clear that she's done with the games. And let's not forget Kirk's history of dishonesty. Remember when Jasmine spilled all the tea to Carly Red about having a son with Kirk? Carly confronted him, and Kirk had the audacity to lie straight to Jasmine's face, pretending he didn't even know who she was. Kirk then tried to twist the situation, convincing Rasheeda that the whole thing was just a prank, knowing full well Carly would run and tell Rasheeda everything. But Carly came through with all the receipts, fully exposing Kirk and Jasmine's relationship. And who could forget the moment Rasheeda went through those messy text messages between Kirk and Jasmine? It was unbelievable. He stood there denying every single word, even though Rasheeda had the proof right in front of her. Like, seriously, Kirk, how much bigger of a liar can you be? Rasheeda has had enough. Kirk's been dodging responsibility for far too long, and now he's finally facing the consequences. This is about to get even messier.